If you're watching this, chances are that you're already familiar with RBI Baseball. It's an all-time classic, as you know. In fact, some would say that it's the best baseball game on the NES. It's almost certainly the best-selling. The Japanese version, Family Stadium, was a huge success when it came out in December 1986. The US version, which came out in 1988, also sold millions of copies. It's an all-time classic. Well, with a game like that, you would naturally expect there to be like the hit sequel, right? Well, there were sequels to RBI Baseball, but they were totally different games. Many of you probably remember playing games like RBI 2 and 3 on the NES. These were unlicensed games produced by Tengen. They came in the old black cartridges, the ones that were shaped kind of funny. The gameplay was similar to RBI Baseball, but it wasn't exactly the same. The players looked a little more realistic, I guess. Still, I kind of missed the cartoonish graphics. The music of the later two games also wasn't quite as good. And that's probably why the original was more popular. But what you might not know is that there were sequels to RBI Baseball that only came out in Japan, sequels that we never saw, at least in the United States or in Europe. In fact, there are a ton of these Famista games, and I'm hoping to play through all of them. The first sequel was this one, Famista 87, and it's the same as the original. I really mean that, by the way. Everything is the same. Nothing has been fixed, nothing has been changed. Now there is a little bit of a difference. You can select from 12 teams in this version. In the original, you could only select from 10 teams. Interestingly enough, the US version also only gives you 10 teams instead of 12. And most of the modified ROMs that the community has created also only give you 10 teams. And it's kind of puzzling to me. I mean, you think that you would want to go for the version that gave you the most teams, right? Well, whatever. Anyway, it's not an awful game by any means. I chose the M team, which as it turns out is a bunch of Major League stars. I'm not sure who Sudolo is, but I'm guessing it's probably Darryl Strawberry. Anyway, it's pretty easy if you play with this team. Jose Canseco is the first guy listed on the bench. He always seems to get a hit when you need one. Anyway, it's still a fun game, though it's really just a roster update to the original. And that's the part that confuses me the most. Here, let me show you. You see, back in the October 30th, 1987 issue of Biweekly Famitsu, there was a long interview with the designers for Famista. This lasts for 4 pages and goes over all sorts of innovations and ideas that they had. But the problem, of course, is that the finished product was basically a repeat of the original game. I mean, even the cover of the game is exactly the same, except with this 87 sticker. Here's the original for comparison. Anyway, Biweekly Famitsu gave this game a ton of press when it came out in December 1987. That included this big 2-page review. They set up their office tournament as usual. In February 1988, the 87 version of the game was listed as the 4th best-selling game of 1987. Notice that the original game was in 2nd place of the same list. It's crazy to see the exact same game listed twice in the top 5 like this. Bases Loaded is there, though it's relegated to 5th place. Anyway, I guess that's just the way that it goes. But the funny thing is that Famista 87 is not the only variant that we didn't get on the home consoles in the United States. Now, there's another version of RBI Baseball out there that is even better than the original, one that I'm sure that most of you have never played. That would be Versus RBI Baseball, created as part of Nintendo's Versus system of arcade games. The Versus system was basically an arcade version of the NES and used almost exactly the same hardware. The CPU was the same, though some of the chips were slightly different. You would need to modify your NES if you wanted to play Versus system cartridges on your old machine. And notice, of course, that Versus RBI Baseball was created by Atari. That would be the same Atari that later operated as Tengen. It seems that this version of RBI Baseball actually came out around September 1987, which is about a full year before the RBI Baseball cartridge was released on the NES. You can learn a lot from this advertisement, which was geared to arcade managers. This low-cost upgrade referred to how Versus systems had interchangeable cartridges that meant that a single arcade unit could easily be reconfigured to play dozens of different games. But for us, the most interesting part is this little bit about 10 Dream Teams. As you can tell, the teams in Versus RBI Baseball are different than what you get in the console, though there are still only 10 of them. And while this game is a port of Famista, it's a lot harder. The first problem you'll encounter is that you lose the game the instant the computer goes ahead. There's no chance to have another at-bat, no way to continue the game, there's nothing you can do. So I lost this game in the first inning 1-0 because Fred Lynn hit a home run. Even if you played well in the beginning, a bad inning or two can blow your chances. As you can see, as soon as the go-ahead run touched the plate, the game ended. It didn't even let the other runners score. Imagine playing one of these baseball games like that. Go down by a run, you lose. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? Well, it was designed to get you to fork over a ton of quarters, and it must have been successful. It really is a lot of fun to play, despite how hard it is. But the best part of all are the rosters. Now, some of the player selections are kind of strange. The Braves had Gene Garber on their staff, for example. Now, Garber was a closer for the Braves in the early 1980s, though he's not very well remembered today. He wasn't a horrible pitcher, but it's kind of strange to see his name up there with Spahn and Burdett. Alan Ashby is named H. Ashby in the game, I don't know why. He's not a horrible selection for a catcher, I suppose, but he certainly never hit .316 in real life. Bill Doran winds up being Houston's second baseman instead of Joe Morgan. This is because Morgan is on Cincinnati. The Braves had Rabbit Moranville on the bench. That's kind of fun for fans of the deadball era, I guess. The Athletics have Sal Bando at third base in the starting lineup, which is kind of an odd choice. They also have Dick Green at second base, an even stranger choice. Meanwhile, the Yankees have Roger Maris on the bench, a pretty good pinch hitter. Bucky Walters is one of the Reds' starting pitchers. He actually was a star in the late 30s and 40s, but I'm guessing that most mainstream baseball fans in the 1980s had never heard of him. Ted Simmons is on the Cardinals, presumably as a catcher. Simmons actually was a star in the late 70s for a brief time, but he certainly was no Dream Team player by 1987. Now, the Red Sox have Dick Radatz listed among the 4 pitchers. I'm betting that most of you have no idea who Radatz was. He was a well-known pitcher in between 1962 and 1965, who worked as a closer at that time for the Red Sox. Now, he left the Red Sox in 1966 and wound up out of the majors in like a couple years. That's one of the most obscure players I've ever seen in any RBI baseball game or in any Nintendo video game for that matter. I was delighted to see Phil Cavarretta for the Cubs. That's not because he was a great player, but it's because I use him so often in my 1949 replay. You might be interested to know that Jimmy Fox is with the Red Sox, not the Athletics, which is something I think is a little bit controversial. Now, some of these guys have really exaggerated stats. Mark McGwire is listed as hitting 62 home runs, for example. Were they predicting the steroid era? They also have Canseco with 54 home runs to complete the Bash Brothers. And let me tell you, it's no fun to see these guys hit back-to-back home runs against you. We need steroid testing in this game. Some of these guys I've never heard of. For example, who is Johnson for the Braves with 43 home runs? I seriously have no idea. Anyway, the most powerful team is most certainly the Dodgers. For one thing, you've got both Koufax and Drysdale on your staff, and there's Valenzuela as well. For another, the lineup is just absolutely loaded with stars. It was easy for me to build up a big first-inning lead against the Giants. They couldn't do anything to stop me. And I pulled off an inside-the-park home run to force the game to an early end. You see, if you're ahead by 10 runs at any point, you automatically win. And the final screen will tell you that the game was a blowout. Now, there are some problems with this game that you need to know about. Like I said before, losing the game because the computer went ahead by 1 run is really cheap. The other issue is this message that pops up telling you to insert another coin. It's like one of those old-fashioned phone booths with the operator that would interrupt your call. All in all, though, the gameplay is excellent. You don't see as many foul balls in this game as you do in the NES version. The computer is a lot harder, though you can beat it if you work at it. But again, my biggest question is why in the world is it that this game didn't come out on a console? Why not use this game as a sequel to the original RBI Baseball? Again, RBI 2 and 3 are really good games. I loved playing them when I was a kid. But it would have been absolutely mind-blowing to play a game with rosters like this at home. After playing this game quite a bit, I can honestly say that it's the game I really wish that Tengen would have released in the United States on the consoles. I seriously think it's the best version of RBI Baseball, even if you include these annoying features. Well, and there you have it. Now, just so you know, I'm not giving up on either Famista or on the American RBI Baseball series. In fact, I'm planning on reviewing every single one of those games. I'm really looking forward to playing them again. But, you know, if you get a chance to buy a Versus RBI Baseball arcade cabinet, don't hesitate. That game is the real deal. As for Famista 87, well, you might want to pass on that one.